My quest to restore the once storied, now crumbling occult seaside library of Hush House began unceremoniously, washed up half dead on the banks of St. Brandon's Cove, bewildered and clinging only to an unidentified book, its contents of which revealed pieces of my soul, along with them a half-drowned heart card ticking down. Not good, especially given the fact that Cards and Weather Factory's cult hit from 2018 Cultist Simulator had a nasty habit of disappearing at the end of their timer. Luckily, a suspicious fisherman from the nearby Brandkrug village spotted me amongst the sandy detritus, and after hearing mention of my old friend Denzel, the local blacksmith, the fisherman helped me up the steps and toward Denzel's warm forge. And without a second to spare, damn. After recovering adjacent Denzel's smoldering coals, I recruited the reluctant smith, the man of few words, to introduce me to Brandkrug's local denizens. After shaking a few hands and greasing a palm or two, I was ushered down Kukerbit Bridge toward my final destination, Hush House, a fitting name for a deserted library. Before long, I had immersed myself in the formidable building's repairs, each of its dozens of rooms having suffered at the hands of a devastating fire 7 years ago. Miraculously, though, many books escaped the blaze unscathed, and I, a well-versed polyglot, aka multilingual, took it upon myself to unlock each of their secrets. With each book, my understanding of Hush House, its surroundings, and myself increased, and soon I had mastered many skills that I used to craft new tools, brew new potions, and most importantly, comprehend new tomes. Of course, I couldn't have done all this alone. A shilling to the rectory, to the funeral home, to the local pub, each secured me an assistant for the day, and I then increased their natural prowess through conversation about local events, philosophy, or with the use of crafted items. Once my assistant met or surpassed a locked room's aspect threshold requirement, be it sky, moon, lantern, rose, etc., we went about restoring the room together. I then cataloged the room's books, its devices, and trinkets, only for the cycle to begin again tomorrow, weather dependent. Gradually, news of my efforts attracted all manner of interesting and at times nefarious individuals, each eager to bask in the restored Hush House and feast upon its collection of grimoires and arcana. These visitors repaid my kindness with strange, even forbidden currencies I used to finance an even wider array of occultisms. But more valuable were the tales of each visitor's travels. If their words are to be believed, a reincarnated Medusa stalks the streets of Budapest. Celestial beings now wander the evening aisles. In the fog of Numa, a season compacted into a single evening, raptures away unsuspecting citizens each year. Indeed, it would seem the outside world has gone mad, and yet in the ever-quiet Hush House I am free to relish in the peaceful simplicity of cataloging, restoring, and self-reflection. Where my story goes, it would seem, is up to me. Book of Hours is a fascinating, if at times frustrating, follow-up to Cultist Simulator. This narrative-driven deck-building RPG sucked me in with a rich soundtrack, atmospheric sound design, and vibrant hand-drawn art. But I was then spit out by its obtuse and complex crafting mechanics that at the game's outset completely overwhelmed, given Book of Hours' near-total lack of tutorial. It's not the most player-friendly title, but as with all games, the longer you play, the more sense it all starts to make. You see, everything is a crafting component, and everything is color coordinated. Purple books require the purple aspect knock, pink books require rose, dark blue books take sky, light blue books take winter, and so on. The same goes for soul and skill cards. Odds are a red card with white accents will yield some combination of red grail and white moth. This color-bound system takes a while to learn, true, but it's satisfying to master. But wait a second, if the color coding is so intuitive, why give the UI a 2 out of 5?
Okay, UI is not our strength. I do like the art.
UI is not our strength. We're going to be
you do
getting
the code and the writing.
I've got a lot better than I used to be.
Neither one of us is a UI
And we'll be getting in.
Yeah, everything else is a bit shit. The text size is too small on max settings. Other text doesn't fit at all. There's no windowed full screen option, it's a pain to scroll across the map, and information about what aspect is required and how much of it it'll take to unlock something is itself locked behind a series of annoying clicks that pull up cumbersome pop-up windows. My suggestion? Simply have this information appear on hover in the form of a small, lightweight tooltip that goes away as soon as your mouse does. Perhaps more concerning, however, is that for a game that's all about stories, Book of Hours' own narrative is overly simple, yet impossible to keep straight. Let me explain. While the player character is a librarian surrounded by fascinating stories, we only get the summaries, little blurbs sporting a few lines of admittedly well-written prose, but little else. And those epic tales about Medusa and other cosmic horrors told to you by strange visitors play out in distant lands you'll never see. Good luck if you want to revisit anything, because there's no central in-game journal to chronicle the books you've read and the people you've met. Instead, clicking things immediately copies the text for you to paste elsewhere, and you guessed it, there's an annoying pop-up every time you do. because the game won't track the books you've read, you'll have to either double check each one to make sure you haven't read it already, or commit to rigorous in-game organization. While that's a perfectly fine idea for a mechanic, it's not very fun in reality, as the bookshelves in Hush House are small and scattered about. I found it was much easier to just dump everything I had yet to read at the library's gatehouse and file it away after reading. And yes, I am the worst librarian ever. These gripes aside, Book of Hours still presents players with an interesting secret-stuffed world that just begs for experimentation and patient exploration. And the steady progress I made toward restoring Hush House one room at a time felt addicting from day one and increasingly rewarding as the days went by. At $20 for a unique 30-plus hour experience, I consider Book of Hours to present solid value despite its flaws, as it still has room to grow into something truly special. Until then, I'm giving it a solid aggregate mega score of 3.5 out of 5, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the game or my review. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.